It's so crazy how quick the days roll by. And once again, we're back with each other here on the Paranormal Portal. How you guys doing? I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and it's wonderful to see you all and to be here. A special happy Friday the 13th to everybody. Now, I know a lot of people think, oh, Friday the 13th, it's so unlucky. But honestly, I've always had decent days on Friday the 13th. I can't remember any Friday the 13th that was like a horrible day. Usually they're average or better than average for me, pretty consistently. So I hope that's the same for all of you out there. But good to see you all. Michelle Wolfong's here, John Temprin, Owl 13, Elaine Clifford, Michelle Wolfong, Maggie M10, T-Bone, John Temprin. I said John twice. Phil Funk is here. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much. As I'm going through, John Stevenson's here. Got the Johns represented. And welcome, Johns. And Deborah Neighbors is here. Just scrolling and looking for new names. Owl 13, Rachel Gets It Right is here. Excellent to see you guys. And still scrolling, still looking. You guys talk a lot. That's wonderful. It's so cool. Hello Friend is here. I love your name still. I think that's such a cool name. It's like, hello friend. It might be something I'd hear on like on Dora the Explorer or something. I don't know. It's just cracks me up. So I'm easily amused though. Phil Funk is here. Good to see you. T-Bone is here. And I think that brings us to the beginning of what I have. So welcome everybody that's here so far. I know we're just cracking the seal here, but we got a great show lined up for you as always. I am joined by a good friend who I'll introduce in just a minute. Lake Diamond is here from Germany. How you doing? How's things over in Germany? Hope you're doing wonderful and sending you lots of love across the pond. Thanks for joining us here as always. I got Justin Goodearth, Barbara Mora are over on Rumble checking it out. And hello to all of you that may be watching on X or on Facebook Live if you're out there tuning in. I think many of you may have come from Lon Strickler's show, which is cool. It's cool to follow Lon. The Friday lineup is just epic as far as I'm concerned. Of course, you know, Lon starts us off at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and then I take over at 7 Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, and then after all of us comes Mr. Dave Scott of Spaced Out Radio. He'll be launching his show after we get done here. So, I mean, it's just a boatload of fun every Friday night here on the shows. So, you know, make sure to tune in to all of us. Wonderful group of people. Lon's been a long time friend of the show. Dave Scott is a brand new friend of the show, but definitely a kindred spirit and a person I've really grown to enjoy. Well, I can't say I've grown to enjoy him because I enjoyed him right off the bat. He's just a really cool soul, and we've had a great friendship right off the bat. So lots of great stuff to check out. So I hope you guys will check out all of those shows, not just this one. And you know, oddly enough, we all share a lot of audience with each other. So that's what's really cool. And you're all into the weird and wonderful worlds of the paranormal, 40 and unexplained. So you're in the right place. So all of those are coming up. Well, Lon was up before us. Now it's our turn, and then, of course, head over to Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio. So lots of great things happening. Hi, Kitty Cattywack. Good to see you. I'm just looking for any new names to pop up, but I think so far that's what we got so far. Kitty Cattywack, did you get a new icon? It's definitely a big kitty. It looks like the Cheshire Cat. That's cute. Very cute. But anyway, right, I guess I should introduce my dear longtime friend. He's been a friend of mine since I started. He's a fellow host and co-host. He a longtime co-host with Mr. Kev Baker on the Freaky Friday show. And as always, when it's Friday the 13th, you can look for him here because he'll be joining me. And I speak, of course, of Mr. NESE. Kevin Shores is here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, NESE, are you there? Here he comes. Are you there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Brent Thomas with Paranormal Portal. Ready to get there Friday the 13th, 2025, June. Are you ready?
Oh,
yeah.
You know I am. I'm always ready. You rolled in like the Kool-Aid man. That's pretty cool. That was pretty epic intro there.
Well, hello, my brother from the same Mother Earth.
How you doing, man?
I am as fantastic as the universe allows.
You sure are.
Creepy Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th. Oh, this has been a long-standing tradition for us. Of course, we used to do the back-to-back shows with Mr. Kev Baker on Freaky Fridays, and then you guys would come over and hang out with us here on the portal. So it's we're keeping the tradition alive in a manner of speaking in honor of our wonderful friend Kev Baker. We've known each other for a long time.
A little bit, as they say in today's vernacular. For a minute.
We've known each other for a minute. There's no question. It's been a hell of a minute. But yeah, it's good to have you back, man. Thanks for joining me once again and going through another Friday the 13th together.
Yeah, I hope that wasn't too overpowering, that little intro there. I had it somewhere, and I was trying to find it before we chatted a little bit, and I meant to tell you, but we were, blame it on me. But that was for you, with love.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not sure what I heard, but it sounded like the Kool-Aid man coming in. So
no, that was me. That was getting into the low radio voice.
You hit it well, brother. You hit it well. Kitty Cattywack says, love NESE. Such a great sense of mind and wit. There you go. You're getting some props in the chat already, brother.
Oh, I blush.
All right, Surreal Estate Agent just popped in. Good to see you. Cheers, Mysteries. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. We always need a good real estate agent. We're always looking for some haunting attractions. Oh. Little real estate humor. I don't know if that was real estate humor or not, but that's all that came to me. So we went with it. But welcome. Nice to meet you, Surreal Estate Agent. It's a surreal estate agent. It's funny. All right. We got a lot to get to, NESE. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of fun stuff. There's a new segment of the show that I don't know if you're familiar with yet. It's pretty brand new, but we do this thing called What the Hell Is That? And I just got to be thinking before that because, it's no secret that you are blind. So some of that may not translate quite as well, but I'll do my best to explain it to you, what we're seeing, and get your take on it when we get to that point. Okay, brother?
I may be two-eye blind, but I'm third-eye sighted.
You definitely are, man. You're very in tune. There's no question about it. And anything new in your world before we move forward?
Well, I am getting my rigs up and going. I finally talked my youngest into helping me procure a bigger desk.
Nice.
And we got that up and going. And so now I got my 3 HP towers. And they still don't know why I have 4 screens, but I also got an Apple Mini.
Okay.
But I need to get some kind of switch or something to where I can put everything onto one screen, because I don't need any screens at all. But sometimes I need somebody to look over my shoulder and make sure I'm doing what I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
So that's exciting.
So you're going to start doing some broadcasting, or what's going on?
I think I might chomp into it a little bit more. I told you before, I've been a lot on Twitter.
Yeah.
X. Sorry, they changed it again.
They did. Yeah. Oh, good.
I've been on X a lot, so maybe I might jump in the YouTubers.
Good.
Drop a link there if I can figure it out.
I hope you
figure
do.
it out.
When you start getting that rolling, let me know. We'll help. We'll help promote you as much as we can, for sure, brother.
Well, I'm always rolling, but when I do,
it was. I say crap like that all the time, and it sounds like I'm like a genius of puns, but I swear to God, every one of them is just it's totally accidental. And then I think back to it and go, oh my God, that was very much a pun. So I'm like a pun savant for some reason.
Yeah, you're pretty punny.
Well, thanks. Canned humor. I appreciate that. All right. Well, we're going to get to the news here, folks, and dive into what the hell's going on in the world and see. We'll see. I'm not sure exactly what it is myself, but then we'll get to the new segment, the what the hell is that? And then we'll dive into some more of the article of people seeing paranormal stuff from Thought Catalog, which has been a real fun article. It's been really a good take. We'll get into that, and then we'll get into the cryptids and where the hell we end up is anybody's guess, but we're going to have a great time getting there, so buckle up. Hang on, folks. We're going in. It's time for the news. Here's the news. Amen. I don't think anybody got to hear that NESE, but I did. I've redone my scenes, so the mic doesn't carry over through the intro, and I don't know why. I have to plug that in somehow. But yeah, do it again.
And now the news with Brent Thomas.
Thank you very much. I'll be your anchor, Brent Thomas, here on the news with my co-anchor, Mr. NESE. And we're going to dive into what is going on around us in the news. Now, some of the news is paranormal. Some of it's just interesting or unique or funny or entertaining. And we're going to cover whatever we can in the three articles that I pulled up for you guys tonight. Remember, throughout the course of the show, I utilize a lot of different sites. And and I'm being extraordinarily sincere when I say this. These are exceptional sites. And I've just been thrilled to find them. They have amazing information over there. So please, you guys, visit these sites. Please support what they're doing. Give them your traffic. Give them your love, because there's incredible stuff going on there. And we definitely got to keep their lights on, and your traffic helps to do that. So please visit these sites. Please give them your love and support as well. And we're going to go into the news. So first up, we're going to be utilizing a site that we utilize all the time here on the Paranormal Portal News, and it's been a hell of a site. I did not know this, but maybe you'll be surprised to learn it as well, ladies and gentlemen. But from our amazing news site that we utilize all the time here on the show, unexplained-mysteries.com, for all you book collectors out there, some old 19th century book covers contain poisonous chemicals. Oh, no. No, that doesn't. Why did they put poison in everything? They say it's like they had like lead drinking goblets and and I don't know, mercury, everything, asbestos. They really didn't know what the hell they were doing, did they?
That ink stinks.
That ain't very good. Ink stinks. All right. Well, let's see what this article says. It goes on to say, chemicals used to give vintage book covers their striking color are capable of poisoning those who touch them. Man, it's a good thing to use those gloves in those archives and stuff. A library would seem to be the last place you'd expect to find a deadly menace, yet nestled on the shelves of historical works lies a threat that few people even are aware of. The problem stems from the fact that during the Victorian era, bookbinders would sometimes use chemicals such as arsenic, mercury, and chrome to give covers their distinctive green coloration. Well, this color was very popular for most of the 19th century because of its vibrancy and its resistance to light fading, said Erica Kotze of the University of St. Andrews. And we know that many household items were colored with arsenic-based green pigments. It was even used in, get this, confectionery. No! Unlike confectionery, however, book covers are still around, while with many antique books still plentiful on the shelves of libraries, specialty bookshops, and even secondhand market stalls. Short-term exposure to these chemicals can cause low-level arsenic poisoning, while long-term exposure can cause all manner of ailments ranging from anemia to skin damage. Back in 2019, a project was set up by Winterthur Museum and Delaware State University in an effort to test and catalog titles that were most likely to contain harmful chemicals in their covers. Researchers ended up developing a device that could be used to test covers quickly and effectively. And it's since been used to test thousands of books across the world, but there are still libraries out there in which potentially harmful books can still be found. It will continue to be a live issue, said Dr. Jessica Burge of the University of St. Andrews, Scotland, but I think that the biggest issue for the institutions at the moment is that any book that's got a green cover from the 19th century is being restricted because they just don't know. Well, there you go. And I guess there's a picture of one. And I guess it's not, like, I've got some old books that have like the green fabric covers, but this looks like some kind of leather bound or facsimile of leather from the 18th century. So I don't know if that's
finally opposition to the cliche, don't judge a book by its cover.
That was actually very clever. I got to give you credit for that one, NESE. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
In this case, judge a book by its cover, folks. If it looks old and green, put on some gloves. At least put on some gloves. All right. Well, that's the first article tonight. You might not have known that before now. Hell, I was today old when I learned it, but we got it. We learned it together. So let's get to the next one because there's more. I got more for you. And this one has to do with crop circles, NESE. What do you think of crop circles?
Love them. Colin Anderson, crop circle critique, I think it was called. Loved them. Interesting enough, on the year that my daughter Infinity was born, 2 months prior to her birth, was a crop circle that had an infinity symbol in the center of it.
Was that part of how you came to the name, or was it just happenstance?
No, I dreamed of the name Infinity in 1997.
Oh, neat. Okay, cool.
I knew I was going to have a daughter at some point again. Mm-hmm. And I did. And the partner at the time, I said, hey, if we get pregnant and it's a girl, her name is Infinity.
And no opposition.
Oh, well, I can be a little
persuasive,
stubborn sometimes. Not persuasive.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right. Well,
no, it's a beautiful name. So
it is. It's a gorgeous name. Yeah. And she sounds like a wonderful soul.
Yeah. And I found that year there was only 6 people in the world that had that name. And now it's jumped up exponentially.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, that's fantastic. At least she won't, but I'll bet you she'll have trouble finding one of those keychains with her name on it or a Coke. The Coke bottles now again have the enjoy a Coke with, and then they put names on there. Now you never see a Brent, and you'll never probably see an Infinity either. So,
but it's a great name too when she becomes Chancellor Emperor of the Universe.
Yeah, that's true. She's got the name for it already. Let's see what she can do with it. All right. Well, here's the article dealing with modern mysteries from unexplained-mysteries.com. Surge in crop circles sparks police appeal in Wiltshire, England. So apparently I don't think they're appealing to UFOs. I think they're appealing to people that they're pretty convinced are doing them. What's your take on it? Is it a naturally occurring phenomena, or do you think most of it is hoaxing?
I would say a percentage. If we look at the full spectrum, at one aspect, we have absolutely, and the other one, BS. But there was that infamous Doug and Dave that originally proclaimed that they were doing the crop circles.
Yeah.
But then when they questioned them about all the crazy particulates of a crop circle, they did admit they didn't do all of them.
Ah, okay. So do you think the genuine ones came first and then the imitators and hoaxers came second, or do you think vice versa, or what do you think?
I think a little bit of both, because the best way to crush something or suppress something is to throw a couple hoaxes out there. So then when it's brought up, they're like, "Oh yeah, I heard Doug and Dave, and that's all BS."
Right. It was. Yeah, you're right. That sure gave a lot of skeptics an easy out. Well, somebody already admitted to it, so it's got to be fake, right?
Right. And a really interesting thing is they brought some of the symbols to some of the indigenous people in North America, and some elders proclaimed those symbols were known within the pantheon of North America.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. I never knew that. Okay.
And there's also ice circles.
Yes,
where
I've
on
seen
lakes
those.
you see these strange anomalies also.
And they'll rotate. The ice circles rotate, as if they're cut with a laser from the body of ice. And if there's a current, those things will spin in that body of ice. Right? Is that what we're talking about? The same thing?
Yeah, it's. I mean, WTF?
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's check out this article. Surge in crop circles sparks police appeal in Wiltshire, England. Crop circles have become such a nuisance in parts of the country that local police have been appealing to the public. Back in the early 90s, crop circles became something of a global phenomenon, with mysterious patterns and shapes springing up in fields and countries all across the world. Well, at the time, the popularity of shows such as The X-Files saw a sustained uptick in interest in the unexplained, while with many associated crop circles with the UFO and extraterrestrial visitors. While today, some people remain adamant that crop circles have unearthly origins, it is generally accepted, here you go, generally accepted that the vast majority has been created by humans rather than aliens, and even so, the subject does still command a degree of intrigue. Most recently, the police in English County of Wiltshire put out a general appeal to the public asking for people to come forward and report any crop circles that they happen to come across. Much of the concern is due to the damage that crop circles can do to the fields of local farmers. And while they might look impressive, creating a crop circle without the landowner's permission is criminal damage. Wiltshire police said in a statement, these acts can cause serious, short, and long-term damage to crops and fields, and may also attract further illegal activity. Landowners who do find a crop circle in one of their fields are being urged to erect no public access signs if they don't want members of the public traipsing over their land to come and see it. Oh, so they don't want people to see them now, NESE, huh? They want to limit access to these circles. And those who don't mind visitors, meanwhile, have been advised to speak to their insurer. Oh, they're flexing insurance now, as they will be responsible for health and safety of anyone who happens to step onto their land. Exactly how many landowners will actually encourage such visits, however, remains unclear. So it sounds like they're trying to muffle this, aren't they?
Suppression.
Yeah.
Definitely. Also, liability from the farmer's perspective. How bad is it damaging the crop that can be harvested?
Yeah.
So, I guess I can look at it from, pun intended, from different angles.
Mm-hmm.
But I think pondering the assumption, theorizing, trying to suppress it would be, I think, top of the pinnacle.
Yeah, because it seems like it's probably going to happen, is whoever is allowing people to come on and look at these things, they're probably going to have some plant in there, stage an accident, and sue the pants off of the landowner. And then word's going to spread, well, look what happens when you let these people on there, and it's going to become a huge legal issue for somebody or somebodies, and in their efforts to stop people talking about it, stop people looking, and wonder what they're afraid of. Of course, if they're man-made and stuff, yeah, you shouldn't go smash down somebody else's crops. But if they are indeed of some esoteric origin, then what if it is a communique for all of us? What if there's a code to all of this, and these are messages, and suddenly we won't have access to them because we're worried about somebody tripping and falling in a gopher hole or something,
Liability.
Yep.
But there was another thing where they were talking about these two-dimensionally, looking down upon them. But then when you put them into three-dimensional, that they had even more significance to them.
Oh, right.
So if they're getting more and more advanced, and whatever it is that's making these occur, there's been aerial phenomenon that are also involved.
Yep.
And I do remember when I could see, there was one where an orb came down, and while the orb was doing a circle, the crop circle was showing up below it. I remember that was an old VHS tape I had.
Yeah, and I actually used that actual clip on my commercial breaks back in the TFR days, showing those. It was actually 2 orbs that were kind of circling, but there was one main orb, and then a second one comes in and does the tips of the the pattern, and it was like, wow, that was captured in, that was Wiltshire, England, I thought too. Now that I think of it, but yeah, fascinating. I don't know what you guys
some galactic cosmetologist is going to come to Earth and open up a salon where you sit in a chair and 2 orbs swirl around your head. And all of a sudden you'll get a nice updo coiffed instantly.
Sure, and geometric patterns in your scalp. Yeah. Why not? Well, there you go. That's the story about crop circles. And yeah, generally speaking, we don't hear much about them as much anymore. So I really didn't know there were still ongoing and an uptick of them. But, I do think there's a very real phenomena associated with this, as well as hoaxing, of course. If you go out into a field and see a bucket of chicken with Colonel Sanders in it, that's probably not aliens. But, I'm just saying, you got to think about that. But some of these patterns are incredibly complicated, and the geometry of them is what really throws me off. The precision in geometry is just fascinating. Is it? It's not that it can't be faked, but what is the motivation to spend that much time smashing down some crops? I don't know. Anybody's guess, but...
Yeah, also they have those strange anomalies where, like, the nodes within the stalk, they do kind of a little burst, and there's even like some type of EMF that can be detected.
Yes,
and
radioactivity.
I heard one case that a very successful crop was harvested the year after in the locations of some of these crop circles.
Oh, so it's actually doing something good to the land afterwards. That's good. Yeah. Maybe that's
Miracle Grow.
Miracle Grow, yeah. Their little dusting of Miracle Grow after they get done making their crop circle. Kind of like talcum powder from a barber, right? You never know.
Or Miracle Glow.
All right, well, that's that article. Let's get back to the last article of the night on the news. And this one is probably more of a lot of nothing. But no, I guess this one speaks more to the conspiracies and stuff surrounding UFOs. Obviously, I don't think it's any mystery to most of us that historically the governments did a whole lot of disinformation and obfuscation and cover-ups regarding the extraterrestrial phenomena. That's certainly no new news, I know, to all of us. But this article kind of dives into that, so let's check this out. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Pentagon disinformation has been fueling UFO conspiracies for decades. That's my surprised face, in case you're wondering. I was making a big O face. NESE, what do you think of that? Just the headline.
I'm making the same face.
Well, since you're not on camera, nobody can see it, but yeah, I kind of figured you were. Let's read the article and see what it says. This is a congressionally ordered probe has revealed instances of Pentagon officials spreading disinformation about UFOs. What? No, everybody knew that. Not that we necessarily knew what the different disinformation was versus actual accounts or claims, but I don't think anybody's surprised by this. It says, the X-Files taught us that the truth is out there, yet it seems as though much of the alleged classified information that has been leaked from facilities such as Area 51 over the years has been deliberately placed into the public domain in an effort to mask actual government black projects from the public behind stories of UFOs and alien cover-ups. And this was a remarkable finding of a recent congressionally ordered probe that has uncovered decades of deliberate lies and falsehoods being perpetrated by government officials. Yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer, but let's continue.
Wait. Sorry. Back it up.
Backing up. What do you got?
Okay. Now, a commissioned government robe with UFOs? Is this kind of borderline risque of what happens with probes, aliens, and UFOs?
I don't think they were probed the same way, though.
Okay, made me nervous.
Here we go. In one instance, an Air Force colonel reportedly leaked photograph of flying saucers at a bar near Area 51 in Nevada in the hope of perpetuating the idea that alien spaceships were being kept there. It turned out the photographs were deliberate fakes. His real agenda was to cover up the fact that the U.S. was working on top-secret stealth fighters at the base by framing any sightings of strange objects in the region as evidence of alien visitors. According to a recent Wall Street Journal investigation, there's I'm sure a banner investigation, this type of thing has been going on for decades, with the Pentagon deliberately fanning the flames of UFO conspiracies. One has to wonder just how far this type of thing has spread over the years. Just how many of the whistleblowers, government insiders, and stories of leaked UFO secrets have been the result of Pentagon officials deliberately propagating a false UFO/alien narrative? What better way to hide evidence of the development of advanced aircraft from the Soviet Union but to convince the world that every strange thing in the sky is an alien spaceship? And it's quite possible that this rabbit hole delves far deeper than we could have ever imagined. Well, there you have it. That's the article. Again, I wish I had a button that went, duh. But I'll just do it manually. What do you think, NESE?
Duh.
Okay. Yep. Great minds think alike, clearly.
Well, I think of like Jeb and Billy Joe. You know, of course, this is how it starts. They go to a bar. They have a little bit too much to drink. They go back to their place together, all drunk and everything. Next morning, they wake up and, what happened? We were abducted, right? Sure, Jeb.
There you go. I'm telling you. It's no doubt. But again, yeah, I think everybody knew this. But from the Duh Files, there we go. But that's going to wrap up the news, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot more show to get to. And I think we're going to do that right now. Let's get back to the rest of the show. My God, NESE, you'll never believe it. Got some donation here cooking. All right, T-Bone donated 5 memberships. God bless you, T-Bone. Thank you so much. And we got some recipients here to talk about. SoCal Squatcher got one. Congratulations. Kat Dougherty got one. Congratulations. Brandy Copeland got one. Congratulations. Nathan from the Quantum Show got one. Congratulations. And Bristol. So 5 new members here for a 1-month trial basis. Special thanks to T-Bone for making that happen. Congratulations, all 5 of you. I hope you enjoy it.
T-Bone.
T-Bone rolling it in. I'm telling you, every show, T-Bone just goes deep like this. It's great, really incredible. Justin Goodearth's double dipping now. He's over on Rumble and in YouTube. I got it. Okay, there you go. Perfect. Disappointed I missed that pun. So somebody said something. I've got to scroll up here because I didn't know. The Goblin in the chat says, Project Mogul was not a cover-up of an alien spaceship crash. The spaceship crash was to cover up Project Mogul. I'm not familiar with Project Mogul, the Goblin, so I don't know what that means. But I would love to know more. If there's any link or information about more, if you want to email it to me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. I'd like to know more about that. I'm certainly fascinated and interested in all of this, but I don't claim to be one of those people that, oh yeah, I know this, and this, and this, and this. Like, I'm not one of those encyclopedia people that, seem to know everything about this stuff. But it sounds very interesting. But thank you, Goblin, for sharing those thoughts. Could very well be right. Anybody else come in that I didn't see? I Like Ike came in. Good to see you. Good to see you all. And SoCal Squatcher, good to have you here, obviously. You just won a membership. And Steve Garza's here. Good to see you, Steve. Thanks for coming in and being a part of the audience. Little Patty's here. Good to see you, Little Patty. Thanks for coming in as well. So that's just me greeting our friends. Carjuice came in over on Rumble. Good to have you there as well. Thank you. All right. Matt Tyrell's been here. What's up, y'all? Been a minute. Well, thank you, Matt, for coming back. I didn't know you were here before. That sounds terrible, but honestly, I'm usually reading stuff and not watching the chat, so I don't get to see it. Tracy Benna came in too, but it's wonderful. Kecksburg was a cover-up, Tracy Benna says. I'm sure there's been plenty of cover-ups, either to cover up U.S. stuff or to cover up alien stuff. It's kind of funny because they'll showcase U.S. stuff or military stuff to bury alien stuff, but then in order to bury military stuff, they spread alien stuff. And it's like, what? Can't we all just get along? I don't know. NESE, what do you think of that?
I prefer a duvet or a comforter for a cover-up.
Yeah. A nice duvet is pretty comforting. I will give you that. All right, we've got a lot more to get to, folks. Of course, it's now time for that other part of the show that we love so much. Well, hopefully you love it as much as I love it. And this is the new segment I was foreshadowing prior. Let me get things lined up for this, because I got things all over the place. That's how I roll, though, NESE. I got actually a couple of videos I want to showcase here tonight. I think we'll stop with two. I got actually been finding tons of this stuff to go over on this segment, but I got to make that smaller. It's just much too big. Maybe it's too tall.
I was going to say something, but it's your show.
God. Don't make this uncomfortable, please.
That's my hand on your thigh. Sorry.
Oh, no, it ain't. You need a lot more Benjamins to get their hand
you're
there.
Right. That's not my thigh. Dang.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just a little uncomfortable now, but that's okay. That's okay. This one too, I wanted to showcase this one as well, so I'll pull it there. I'm just doing some positioning. I should have done this before the show launched, but again, it's how I roll. I don't know, put that down there. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the new segment here on the show, and one that I've really enjoyed doing. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing it, but it's time now for this.
What the hell is that?
What the hell is that? Indeed. All right, so we're going to get into these videos. There's a couple of videos I want to go over. This is kind of a neat one. This is one I saw today, and this is coming from Squatch Watch 1 in Instagram channel. And I don't know that this is his video, but it's certainly something he showcased on his channel. I don't know who to give credit for this channel or this video to, but I found it there. So direct any inquiries into ownership to Squatch Watch 1. Matt Terrell, been a year, relocated my normal schedule. It's just getting back to normal. Glad to be back and catch you live. Well, perfect, Matt. Great to have you back, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for remembering. All right, well, here we go. This is an interesting video. Now, it's very grainy. I will tell you that right up front. Obviously, you can see that when you're looking at this still over there. It's like most videos, and I think this is an older video, but it looks like it was filmed with a potato. So let's check it out. It says, on the screen, what you're seeing is From Bear to Beast, a hiker's primal terror in the wilderness. And let's watch this. Again, I hope it loops or something, but let's get to this. It does look very compelling, and we'll examine this in discussion a little bit after. But here we go. Wait until you see it. Says it on the screen. It zooms into this wooded hillside, and there's a dark figure hunched over. And yeah, that looks like it would be probably like a black bear. But then it stands up on two legs, and obviously the camera starts shaking like crazy as the person realizes that ain't no bear. But I think this could be legitimate, but there's not much to go on. It's obviously very obscured by all the brush and trees. It looks like almost like the Salt Forks, Utah footage, but I don't think that's one and the same. I might be wrong. But and that is the Bigfoot footage of the Bigfoot coming down that hillside and like side arming in a discus throw a rock into a parking lot. And that one has been regarded as probably could be very legitimate. This looks like the same kind of setting where it's deep fall, maybe early winter. There's no snow, but all the leaves are down, and whatever it is hunched over behind some deadfall and stands up. I don't know. There's not enough to look at for this. I will say the shoulders look enormous. The head looks like it's possibly very consistent with the shoulder size and head placement of a Bigfoot as we come to know them. The arms, I can't tell how long they are to look at proportions versus the body and such, but they look like pretty big arms. So what do you guys think of this? Is it a Bigfoot potentially, or what do you think? And I don't know. NESE, had you ever seen a Bigfoot back in the day?
Did you say all the leaves were brown?
Yeah.
And the skies were gray?
No, I didn't say the skies were gray.
And you couldn't
it's not
see
California Dreaming.
For miles?
No.
And I couldn't see. Yes, I did. I think I shared it. I'm probably 97.6825% sure.
Mm-hmm.
But in Detroit Lakes, northern Minnesota, my grandparents lived on the South Shore Drive. And from their house to Longbridge, where we used to go to get candy and soda, and it was a little deli store, was probably about half a mile bike ride around the edge of the lake. Mm-hmm. And the lake is on your right side, and on the left side was cornfields. And my grandparents had those old, heavy metal bikes where you had to put all your weight into it just to get the thing momentum and moving forward.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm riding there by myself. And as I start coming up to the corner, all of a sudden, on the left corner of my eye, I see something in the cornfield taller than the field. Oh. And then right away, when I looked, it seemed like it crouched down. I just did it myself. Like it crouched down. Mm-hmm. But the thing I noticed is that when you walk through a cornfield, you kind of make a path to it. You know how like it cuts through the corn.
Yeah.
And so I see this behind the area, and the goose flesh and the hair stand up. Yeah. And I put everything I could into pedaling faster, because the angle of this thing walking would have met me at that corner if it was as big as I thought it was, and if it wanted to go a little bit faster, mm-hmm. it would have been there before I was.
Wow.
So I put everything into it, got around that corner, went to Longbridge, called back to my grandparents. Didn't want to tell them what I saw, but asked if they could come and get me. And they're like, ridiculous. And I tried to make a excuse about the bike. And they're like, you could just walk it. That's not that far. And I'm like, no.
No.
So I had to ride the bike back.
Oh,
And
no.
I shouldn't have, I on that curve, I shouldn't have done it on the side away from the cornfield.
Mm-hmm.
There was no way I was going to ride on the side of the cornfield on the way back. But that was my assuming, looking back on what it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think it possibly was. But
right.
Who knows?
It's just the size of these shoulders are so big, and then the arms are coming down quite far, considering where that, and it's got a forward lean to it. So I really think this could be a very valid video. It's not impossible that it could be hoaxed, but it looks pretty convincing to me. If it's a hoax, usually hoaxers try to really showcase the hoaxing, not showcase the hoaxing, but showcase the figure. And this one is staying back. And once it seems to realize it's being watched, it gets up and just moves further away into the scrub. So it's not like, I mean, most hoaxers are trying to leave no question that what you're seeing is a Bigfoot or, whatever they're hoaxing. So, and I'm speaking in large generalities. I mean, who knows? Maybe they got more sophisticated with their BS, but generally speaking, just the width of what we're looking at here versus the size of the head, I think is really impressive. And that's one of the things that kind of removes the suit idea for me, because if a person was wearing a costume that approximated the width of the shoulders, their arms would be out like, well, let me do this. Their arms would be out like this to approximate that much width, and they'd have just a little bit of arm left to work with. So I don't know. I mean, or at least some close approximation of that. Maybe not quite this far, but those shoulders look like they're a good 4 feet apart at least. And that's a huge span for a human being who has, maybe, I don't know how far this is, 2 feet, maybe 24 inches, roughly. I don't know how wide that is, but this wide versus this wide, to wear a suit like that and then to have your arms hang down wouldn't work. So at least it stands up to some possibility for me, for sure. And we got some people in the chat. Who was it? Was it Maggie said something here? Maggie says, I mean, not being funny, but running away instead of getting a clear shot is a natural reaction to anyone who isn't looking for one, and maybe even for those who are. Yeah, and that's true. The way the camera shakes, it's not like, oh, I lost, I'm running away. It looked like a sincere, like, oh, OMG, and got the hell out of there. Like it's a clear shake and roll. I mean, it's not subtle or I mean, it could be faked, sure, but that's a hell of a convincing motion to me. Like when they saw it and realized what they were looking at, they're like, yeah, and they were gone, and they start running away. So
that's definitely a bleaching matter of underwear.
Yeah.
After that occurrence, or just throwing them away.
Yeah, there's definitely some fudge striping going on there for sure. Just the way it shakes and they're just gone. I mean, they don't pause at all once they see it stand up and its arms are standing out on its side like that. I mean, there's no pause. It's just like instant shaking and blur after that. Like you can't, and that's where it cuts. But honestly, there wouldn't have been anything else to see except a person panic running, probably back to their car or somewhere far away. So a great video. That's the first one I wanted to showcase for you guys. But there's another one I want to showcase for you as well. And I got to pull that up here. Where is it? Is this it? Yeah, that's it. This one is a Dogman one, and I don't really have a solid opinion of this one because we're not sure what we're looking at here. And this comes from the Almost Canaan podcast page, and that's not a podcast I'm familiar with, but it sounds like it'd be a neat show to check out. So if anybody hasn't checked it out or have checked it out, let me know. But it's Almost Canaan podcast. And this is potentially some Dogman footage coming out of Brazil, apparently. And it looks like it might be good. Well, here you go. let's check this out. I don't want to feature everything he's saying because I don't want to stomp all over what he's created here, but I did want to showcase the video that he found.
Seems to be a hell of a lot of activity. Now, a while back, I posted who actually shot a dogman, and this might actually be part 1 of that video.
Okay, and there's he alludes to another video that he saw where somebody claims that they shot one. This one doesn't have much, doesn't give us much to go on other than a few frames that are moving through here, but he's still talking. After he finishes talking, I don't remember, I watched it much earlier, but I want to see if there's more of the footage or not. No, it just loops. But there really isn't much to go on other than there's a wolf-looking creature that's in a bunch of tall grass in a forest. And you don't get to see much, but could that be real? What do you guys think? And I'm going to leave it up to you guys. I'm not really as convinced on this one. I think this one's probably less likely to be real. But then again, I don't know of any or many dogman reports coming out of Brazil. And I'm not suggesting they don't exist. I just don't know. But it's a new thing to me to hear about dogmen in Brazil. So what do you guys think? What do you think? What I saw was much bigger, Ike says. I don't know what you're talking about there, Ike. Which thing? I'm not convinced it's real, Aussie, but not convinced it's real. Little Patty says fake. And looks like a dog or canine. Yeah, I mean, it could be. It does. It looks like it's got broader shoulders, more humanoid type shoulders, honestly, but it's
and rarely in Brazil do you hear the phrase "Who let the dogs out?"
I don't know what to say to that. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I've never been, so I mean, I'd be neat to go to Brazil, but I've never been. It looks like a beautiful country, and
every other month when I get waxed, I go to Brazil.
That was an overshare. I didn't need to know that. Probably. Ever.
Oh, I said that unmuted. Dang it.
Yeah, that was out loud. That was out loud, brother. Yeah, first one real, second not real. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't want to say that this couldn't be a legitimate recording of somebody seeing a dog man, but again, there's not much to go on. It's very obscured. You can't see anything below the head except for a little bit of the shoulders before you see the tall grass. And even the recording is not great. It's not really great, pristine quality. So it has eyes that look like they're reflecting the light pretty well, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything either. So I don't know what you think. I think you're probably right, I guess, for all of you out there that have weighed in on this, but I think it's the second video I'm not really subscribing to personally, but then again, I don't know about this other video that he was talking about as well. And the video is only like 5 or 6 seconds, and there isn't much to go on here. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's a more robust version of it, but that's what we know from here so far. And I'm with you guys. Probably not real, but this, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Prine says, chupa corn on the cabra. Might be a chupa corn on the cabra. You're right. I don't know about that. All right, let's get out of this. That's been tonight's version of, what the hell is that? Oh, Rachel says up above, the eye spacing for the dog man looks like a mask. Human eye ratio, then a wolf dog spacing. Well, that's a good point. I guess I hadn't even thought of that, but you're right. I mean, I think that they are a little broader than our eyes as they're more side-mounted, but still binocular vision. But it's not quite as close together as ours. That's a good point. They're not mounted. Dogs and wolves' eyes are not mounted on the front of their faces. They're kind of on the side, on the very periphery of the front-facing eyes. So that's a good point. I hadn't even considered that. Good point. All right. Well, there you go. That's tonight's version of What the Hell Is That? And I don't pretend to know, but together I think we've come to a little bit of consensus, and we'll dig into more tomorrow night. So let's get back to the rest of it.
What the hell is that?
I don't even know, folks. I don't even know. But I know that we've got more to do. We're going to get into an article now that we've been cutting through for a few shows now. We're going to continue to cut through it. Maggie says, love this segment. Oh, thank you, Maggie. I'm glad you do. It's funny being a show host. I always want to try to add new things, keep creating new parts of the show or some variety for you guys, because if every time you tune in, you're seeing the same things over and over, it's real easy not to tune in. It's real easy to go, well, it's probably very similar to the other 5,000 shows I've seen him do, so I'm going to go watch someone else for tonight. And I don't want that ever to be the case. I want to create a show that every night you don't know what the hell's going to happen here, and it's worth watching. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm glad you guys like that segment. First one real, second fake. Yeah, I think you're right, Patty. I think so. I think that's true. I always look into the two wolves inside me. Yeah, that's right. Which one wins? The one you feed. That's a good one. NESE's chatting away. You're chatting, NESE. Did I lose you, NESE? NESE, are you with me? Did I lose him? I don't know what's going on. I suddenly have no NESE. Looks like, hey, NESE, did you disconnect? You might be more involved in the chat room now than with me. My feelings aren't hurt. Don't worry, I'm fine. But yeah, I don't know where he went. He might have got some technical issues. We'll just keep an eye on that. NESE, let me know if we need to do something here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I had to find the application again, but I'm back.
Okay. Well, God bless you. I missed you. It just wasn't the same. I wasn't the same without you, NESE.
I know. I kind of grow on people like a moss or a mold.
Like a rash.
That too.
You're my favorite rash, though. Don't ever think otherwise.
Can you scratch there right behind the ear? Right? Yeah, that's right. Aha, right there. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to get to the next part of the show tonight. And this is a thought catalog article we've been going through for a while here. And we're on number 9 of a 20 count of the people's spookiest first-person accounts of seeing an actual spirit. And this is written by Eric Redding of Thought Catalog, and it's been an incredible article so far. And I think it was last updated 2022. Like, he's kept updating it, but it was originally written in 2016. In fact, November of 2016. So, but it's a great article. I've really enjoyed covering it, and ain't chatting now. Who's not chatting, Justin? Oh, just because you came back on. You said you ain't chatting now. Brent, you usually drop Sheldon. Yeah, I know. I guess I drop NESE now too. I can drop anybody in any extraordinary amount of time. Extraordinarily quickly is what I meant to say there. Oh, thank you, Karen. Karen says Brent does spoil it. It's because I want you to love me. No, of course I want you guys to love the show. Your opinion of me is probably much less relevant because, honestly, you only have to put up with me for 2 hours. But hopefully you're enjoying the shows. Anyway, let's see. No rash talk, Maggie says. She's talking about you and your rash talk, NESE.
I'm sorry.
Not. You're not sorry. I know you're not. All right, here we go. We're going to get to this article, though. This is, again, from Thought Catalog, ladies and gentlemen. And this is just a fun walk through some Reddit posts. And we're going to get into that now. We're on number 9. These, again, are first-person accounts with the supernatural paranormal. So an actual spirit, as it were. Number 9, a family of seers. All right, let's check this one out. The children in my family have a thing with seeing ghosts. We've had 3 major incidents that have freaked out my family from all different generations and different ghosts. The first incident was when my sister was just able to talk. My mom was driving past Peterson Tractor where my grandpa used to work, and my sister pointed to the business and said, Grandpa plays with tractors. Well, the strange thing was that my grandpa died when my mom was 15, and my mom had never mentioned him. Well, the next story happened almost every night when I was little. My mom would put me down for bed, and I would immediately jump out of bed and go over to my grandma's vanity set that she gave me before she died, and I would say goodnight to whatever was there and give it a hug. I would blow a kiss and say, "Good night, Grandma." My poor mom has now had both of her children see ghosts. The third story is the strangest. My aunt died of leukemia when she was 13, and then my cousin got diagnosed when she was 10. My cousin was laying in her hospital bed when she turned to my grandma and asked, "Who's that little girl in the white wicker chair?" My grandmother had her describe the little girl, and my grandma showed her a picture of Cheryl, my aunt that passed, and she confirmed that it was her. That was cool. That was by Marcy Boggs. Very cool stories, Marcy. Wow. Pretty intense, huh, NESE?
I got one like that.
Go ahead.
The Infinity, when she was young, about 1.5, we were in my bedroom, and my partner was holding her up, and she's staring in the furthest corner, just fixated on the corner.
Uh-huh.
And then we both noticed it, and finally we're like, "Infinity, what are you looking at?" And she said, "The sparklies."
Oh.
We're like, "What?" Then she points to the corner and she said, "The sparklies." And we're like, "Oh, okay." And I was taught by my mother, you don't be dismissive, because,
right.
We lose that sight when we are dismissive to our children of these things.
Yeah.
So time progresses, and then my second daughter comes along, found her under a rock, and she's in the kitchen making a little plate of crackers and nuts and the such. And she starts walking away, and we're like, well, I couldn't see it, but my partner did. She's like, "Spheria, what are you doing?" And she goes, "I'm going to go feed the sparklies."
Oh, wow.
And we're like, "What?" And she says, "In your bedroom, the sparklies." And so, yeah, both daughters said about the sparklies. And we used to think it was because in the living room, we have like a glitter ceiling that has like little, I don't know what it is, like glitter, but it sparkles.
Uh-huh.
And that's what we were thinking, but that's only in the living room and not in the bedroom.
Wow.
But
was it the same house in both?
Same house, yep.
Okay.
Same house, same bedroom.
Yeah,
well, I told you that before. I've invited you several times, but anyway, to come and visit, because I'd love you to hang out in the basement and tell me what you feel or think or see.
Sure. I mean, I'd love to. It's not like we're neighbors, though. You're only over in Minnesota, and I'm all the way over here in Idaho. In fact, I've only driven through your neck of the woods.
We're not going to talk about that.
I know, but I'm just saying it's it's not, doesn't make it real amenable to just swinging by. But I will take you up on that eventually, for sure. I definitely will make it over there. I want you to take me over to the res too and show me some things there.
Oh yeah, Sasquatch hunting.
You got it, brother. Yeah. So if I can pull it together this year, I sure as hell will. I just I've got juggling a lot of irons right now, but if I can work that out, you'll be trying.
Interesting enough, tomorrow I will be going to the reservation. It's the traditional powwow. I think this is the 159th annual powwow.
Oh, wonderful! Very cool. Yeah, excellent. I mean, for sure, I'll take you up on that. But yeah, I think that's it. Those are fantastic stories. The sparklies. That's really cool. And it's making me, wonder, is that ancestral, or is that just a benevolent spirit or an energy? Would that maybe be a more of an earth energy spirit or a elemental kind of thing, or what? I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure. And now that me and her aren't together again, I do ponder if she was a witch. Well, forget it. We won't.
Well, there's that too. You never
She's the
know.
mother of my children.
Absolutely.
She's the mother of my children.
She's a radiant light in their lives, just not so much in yours. But yeah, I've got a few of those myself, so I understand. Okay. Well, very cool. Very cool. All right. So let's go to the next one here. This is number 10. I still wonder what happened in that room. Oof. My family and I were traveling from Western Kentucky to Florida for a vacation. Well, after a long day of driving, we ate waffles and other breakfast miscellany. I've never heard of that word. miscellany. Miscellany. At one of those all-night breakfast places, and we're looking for somewhere to sleep for that night, but everything was full. Well, when we finally saw a hotel lacking a lit-up no vacancy sign, it was a Days in Dothan, Alabama. I needed to stretch my legs and my game gear had died, so I went to the front office with my dad to get the room. The woman, tired, barely contained by her hotel employee's uniform, told us we're all booked up. But her coworker said something like, well, what about 229? And she paused for a second, looked at me, and then looked at my dad and said, well, yeah, I guess you could take 229. Would you like 229? Well, yeah, why not? Sure. And so began the strangest night I've ever experienced. We settled in for bed almost instantly. My brother and I in one, and my parents in the other. I assume there's 2 beds in there. Something seemed off about the room, but we were too tired to care. Well, at around 2:30 in the morning, I woke up to my mom screaming and my dad sitting straight up in bed. There's a man in the room. Hey, who are you? What are you doing in here? We all woke up, and there was this dark figure of a large man in the room standing over my parents' bed. My brother dove for the light switch, and the room came into this sudden quiet focus. I remember thinking later about what might be a more appropriate or effective thing to say when you're encountered by a large dark figure standing at the foot of your bed, but in that moment, nothing was there, just a crappy TV, mini fridge, and a mirror. And we all sat there for a moment trying to figure out what just happened. My dad said, we're leaving. And we were back on the road as fast as we fell asleep. Later on, my parents discussed it. My mom apparently only saw a man. My father also saw a man and a dog, and I just remember seeing shapes. We scoured the internet to see if anything weird had happened in that hotel that year. And I even tried calling the hotel years later, but it had since gone under new management. And from time to time, we always wonder what happened in that room. And that was by, this is a little bit of a cautionary name. It's Malarkey. So I don't know if he means the story's malarkey or if that's just a username. But anyway, interesting. That's creepy. Creepy. That's such a common trope, though. The old shadows standing over the bed in spiritual encounters. Very creepy stuff. All right, we'll go to the next one. This is number 11. What? I can't quite read this out loud, but I'll paraphrase it. Graveyard crap at the jail. I'm a detentions deputy that works alone in a 60-bed jail on graveyard shift. Well, several times I've seen inmates out of their cells in the middle of the night, went to investigate and found everyone accounted for and asleep. We've had 2 self-unalivings and 1 homicide since I've worked there, and it would always happen within the month of the incident. They're usually out of the corner of my eye or when I walk by a door, and I've never gotten a good look at them other than noticing the flash of an orange jumpsuit, which is our SEG inmates, and the 2 unalivings, self-unalivings wore orange jumpsuits. And then they're gone. I've seen an inmate up against the glass in the gym, then walk away from it, and then when I get there, he's gone. I've seen one several times standing in an empty SEG cell as I walk by, and saw one in our kitchen standing at the sink in the dark as I walk by the door. I've also found lights on in the middle of the night in rooms that I don't have access to, and property bins pulled off the shelves when nobody was there. And that was by Chances Aren't. Well, there you go. I mean, certainly jails are hot spots, right, NESE?
Well, if they're in the kitchen, maybe they could like do the dishes while they're there.
No. Wouldn't that be nice if you had a haunting where it was like a spirit that just loved to vacuum? It's like, okay, yeah, just go ahead. Take care of that, will you?
Remember the little cobbler elves, and then what was it, Kiesler? They hired them all, and nobody got their shoes fixed anymore.
The Keebler elves, yeah.
Yeah,
That'll do it. Dang it. Interesting story though. Yeah, I think it's certainly a hot spot. Jails, prisons, hospitals, certainly any place, asylums. Obviously, there's a lot of pain, a lot of sadness, a lot of desperate souls are in those places. And I think if it's not the actual spirits of the people themselves, then it's whatever gets drawn in by all that negative energy. I think there's both. There's things that are drawn to that, and there's imprints that are made by people doing drastic things. And certainly jails definitely fill that or fit that mold. All right, number 12, don't say anything. Don't look at them. You need to be asleep. Well, that's a creepy start, right? Well, I'm one of those people that only rarely remembers their dreams, but when I do, they tend to be quite vivid. When I was about 15, I went on a mission trip to Appalachia with my church youth group, and we were all piled into a school bus, and the drive lasted at least a day and a half, so we had to stop and sleep overnight at other churches. Well, on the trip there, we got lost in the back roads of Ohio, trying to find the place that we were supposed to sleep that night. It was about 1 or 2 in the morning. Yeah, we're really lost. And looking out the window, I must have drifted off, except the transition was so seamless, I don't remember actually falling asleep. Because one moment I was just looking out the window at the dark countryside, and the next there were all these pale, flickering people walking through the trees on either side of the road, just watching us. Oh, that's not spooky. And they were all white and seemed to be almost luminous as they came closer to the road. Well, I looked around and everybody else on the bus was asleep except the driver. And the driver was this kind of stoic, old-school Renfest goth guy named Christopher, not Chris. And he and I got each other pretty well, so I'd been sitting up front to shoot the breeze with him. And I remember turning around to ask what was up with the people on the side of the road, and he was just staring straight ahead. He didn't seem freaked out or anything, but before I could actually say anything, he said in this really calm voice, "Don't say anything. Don't look at them. You need to be asleep." I didn't think the people of the road wanted to hurt me. If anything, I just felt sad for them. And they all looked so lost, and their clothes were all in tatters, and some of them looked like they'd been burned, and some of them were kids. But I believed Christopher when he told me it was better not to look at them. And I don't remember going to sleep, but I did close my eyes, and when I opened them again, we were in a small town, and the road people were gone. That was by Fusion Blonde. Yikes. The road people. That's creepy. I don't know. Do you think that was a dream, NESE?
My stepfather was a truck driver. My dad was a truck driver. And going to the truck stops, some of the stories that you would hear about travelers along the road, especially a common one was in areas where accidents occurred and people died, that, apparitions and, shadowy individuals have been seen. So, I enjoy the stories. I want to believe.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I've certainly seen, I always know when I've and I don't mind traveling and driving cross country too much. It takes a long time, and I wish it didn't, but you do see some pretty amazing stuff. But it's striking sometimes as you're driving along, all of the crosses that are erected all over the place, and that's where people met their end, where they had some sort of fatality, and it is sad. But I honestly have never seen anything around those that makes me go, well, they're haunted. There's got to be a spirit there because I saw it, and And I don't know if I'd want to or not. I don't know what to think about that, but I don't seem to be one of those people that sees spirits very often. I mean, I have seen an apparition one time for sure that I know of, and potentially other times, but it's more ambiguous. But yeah, I don't know. Never saw these road people anyway. I'm sure they're out there, and I'm sure there are plenty of people that are more sensitive than I am in that respect, but pretty crazy.
Yeah, lately I haven't been seeing much either, but I usually don't look at anything seriously anymore.
Well, that's probably helps, yeah. That probably helps. Number 13, have no sympathy for the dead. They are free. No, have no sympathy for the dead? Oh, okay. I always heard don't mourn the dead. Don't mourn the dead. Their problems are over. Never heard no sympathy for the dead, though. Back when I was 17, I just got my license and went driving around with some friends, as you do. Loud music, good times, random pit stops for no reason. The usual. We decided that a drive through the back bush area in our rural area of Australia was a good idea at 10 p.m., and off we drove to one road that would lead us through the bush into the darkness. Well, there were no lights along this road, only my high beams lit the way. And as we're driving, we came across this elderly man in a cream suit with a bunch of slightly wilted flowers with his thumb out. He seemed harmless by all means, but we decided we would pick him up. It was no place for anyone to walk. He was a really nice guy and well kept and beard trimmed, and his eyes were incredibly bright as well, a piercing blue color. Well, he said he was out this way because he was visiting the site of where his loved ones had died. Well, apparently he didn't drive anymore after the accident that had killed them, and we were all a little unsettled, but in the end we thought of nothing of it. He was a good-natured and polite to boot. We came around a corner, and he asked if he could please be dropped off there. Well, we did so, assuming that the site was nearby, and he got out of the car. We shook hands with him, wished him well, and sent our sympathy to his loved ones. And he replied with, "Have no sympathy for the dead. They are free. May God bless you all, children." He turned and walked straight into the dense bush, and I kid you not, disappeared within 6 steps. Like the darkness just swallowed vision of him. It's been a few years now, and there's not been any news of any missing people in that area. My friends and I don't know whether it was a dream hallucination or what. We've gone past the same area a few times now, once walking out to the area he went, and we found nothing. I won't blame anyone for not believing this is real, because sometimes I think the same thing, but it's a memory in my brain that I just can't get rid of, so I guess it must have been true. That was by Jolly Old Bogan. That's a pretty creepy one, right?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, at the top of the show I forgot to read this. 1 second. Brent Thomas is the best host ever on any podcast, and he should be held up high in his holiness and all superiority to us all.
Perfect.
Did I read that right?
Yeah, it sounded natural to me. I thought it was very, very heartfelt, really. I was moved personally. Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. You move me.
Can you plug my chair back in now?
Yeah, we'll get on that. I'll make the call. All right, I'm moving along. That little awkward interlude. Here we go. Now we're going to move on to one more, and then we're going to go to the cryptids. This is number 14, Sam Through the Window. I was working the 11 to 7 shift as a charge nurse in a nursing home, and there's a patient named Sam. Well, Sam had come to the home after a mugger had attacked him with a tire iron. Oh, how horrible. Well, the doctors had saved his life by removing the left side of his skull and part of his brain. Sam's head looked like a basketball that was deflated on one side, and despite not really being able to take care of himself, he could read, watch TV, and engage in his favorite pastime, which was watching the young female nurses and aides. Well, God bless Sam. He's obviously a man of many virtues. Well, he wouldn't do anything but put his arm around a girl's shoulder to say thank you when she picked up his dinner tray, but that was it. So Sam became something of the nursing home mascot. But as it happens in this business, Sam died of a blood infection 6 months after I started there. Well, the night of his death, we were gathered around the desk for the report from Sandy, the 3 to 11 nurse, as she gave her report to me and 3 nurses' aides. And when Sandy came to Sam's name, she said, Sam died at about 3:30 this after, and suddenly a call light came on and everyone stared at the light board. Well, the call was coming from room 30. That room had been locked ever since the relatives had taken his belongings away. The call was coming from Sam's empty, locked room. Well, we all went down the hall to see what this was about, and we thought that another patient had probably gotten into the room and put on the call bell. Sam's room was open, lights were on, call bell was pushed in, old-fashioned call light, and shaped like a bell. You had to push in the button in the center to call and to turn it off by twisting the edge of the bell. Only one problem. Not one patient was up. The door was not forced. It was unlocked. All the staff were at the desk. The only one that had the keys was the charge nurse in the room door. The door was locked when I made rounds not more than 10 minutes before. I mumbled something about loose wires. I twisted the call bell off, turned the room lights off, locked the door, and went with the rest of the staff back to the nurse's station. Sandy started the report again. She didn't get more than 3 minutes into the report when Sam's call light came on again. We went down to find the room opened, lights on, and the call bell on. All patients in bed. I turned the call bell off, the lights off, and locked the room up again, back to the desk. Report started again. The light came on again. But this time it was more nuisance than scary. So we just decided to leave it on and continue the report so that the other shift could leave. After report, I went down to the room, turned the call bell off, replaced the old cord with a new call bell cord, turned off the room lights, and locked the door once again. And the bell stayed off, but the signal on the board stayed on. We went down the longest hall, Sam's hall, to start our work, and as we passed Sam's room, the door was open, but the lights were off. The nurse's aide felt a cold breeze up their skirts. Ruh-roh. Sam, you old dog. Remember, Sam liked the ladies. And at that, I went into the room to check if someone had opened a window. Well, no window was open, and no air conditioning was on in the room. I closed the door and locked the door again, and we continued. After we finished down the hall, we went past Sam's room again. The door was still closed and locked, but by the time we finished the first round, it was 2 a.m. Back at the desk, the call light in Sam's room was off, and we forgot about Sam. We drank our by now cold coffee, did my paperwork, and the ladies exchanged small talk, and at 3 a.m. we started the second round. Down the long hall again, but this time Sam's door was open, and the females felt an even colder breeze. I went into the room. It was like a vacuum, as if the air had been sucked out. I opened the windows, but no air could dispel the vacuum. I'd had enough, and I yelled, Sam, you're dead. You spent enough time in this place. Get out of here. I closed the windows, locked the door again, and joined the ladies for rounds. I didn't go into that room until around 6 a.m., and all 4 of us went for one last look. No vacuum, no breeze, sun shining through the window. Nothing to prove anything happened that morning. We didn't want to tell the 7 to 3 shift and risk their whole day looking at ink blots, so we kept our occurrences to ourselves, but this was only the beginning. We weren't prepared for what was going to happen next. The following night, I get a call at home from Sandy. She asked me if anything happened on the 11 to 7 shift, and I said, why? Sandy stated this tale. Well, when we were picking up the dinner trays, we were one tray over. We passed out 26 trays, and we picked up 27 trays. Somebody miscounted, I said. Well, that may have happened. Only the 27th tray was outside of Sam's room, just as he had left it when he was alive, exactly as he left it. Somebody's pulling a prank on you, Sandy, I said. I don't think so, because when I stood up from taking the tray, I felt an arm around my shoulder, just like Sam had put it. I was the only one down that hall. And I then told her what had happened the previous morning. She said, well, it looks like we have a ghost to add to the census. And this wasn't the end of the story. A week later, another patient was admitted to room 30, a retired university professor, and one night her light came on. She'd seen a man staring at her from outside her window. And when I asked her what the man looked like, she said that he was not normal looking. The left side of his head was deflated like an old volleyball. She used to play volleyball a lot in her younger days. I told her that I would go around the building and see if I could see him. The police were called to look for a potential prowler, and they found no one. And no footprints outside the window, no grass disturbed. But I knew who it was. When I told the nurses' aides, they knew who it was. Sam was back. Over the years, every female patient that was in that room saw Sam staring at them through the window. No male patient would ever see him. For you see, Sam liked the girls. I left the nursing home some years later on. I don't know how long Sam stuck around, but these events were experienced and were confirmed by various employees and patients. In my career in working in nursing homes, reports like this are relatively common. I don't know what to make of this except that we just don't know what happens after death. And maybe some people just want to linger where they felt most comfortable. Sam did. That was by Merlin, Merlyn. More traditional spelling of Merlin. Very interesting. Wow. I don't know. Old Sam. He liked the ladies. Can't blame him. I'm just saying I probably sound like a pig now, but, I mean, come on. I'm a guy. You know how it goes.
At the very beginning, when you brought up deflated basketball.
Yeah.
The whole story, I'm waiting for something about a deflated basketball, and I'm like, where's the basketball? And then it's a deflated soccer ball.
Yep, it was a volleyball. Yeah,
but, volleyball.
Yep.
Sorry.
In the I think in one person's description she used a deflated basketball. Maybe not. I don't know, but they used a soccer ball or a volleyball after that. Yeah, apparently the guy had taken a serious blow to the head and kind of made himself at home in that nursing home and got to know everybody. Everybody got to know him, and then he passed. And I mean, certainly my dad, after he passed, lingered for quite a while around the house very actively, and let my mom know he was there very actively, and made many activities happen around the home that were just beyond understanding. Many of which I've discussed here on the show through the course of the show. But if you're not familiar with those, you'll have to catch some of my interviews on other shows because, I don't want to keep rehashing the same things over and over. But yeah, he definitely made himself known for quite a while.
Is the ghost? You still got the ghost box?
It's running right now. The only thing it said before we started the show was fast, and it's been very quiet all night since. So it's running.
It said fast?
Yeah, F-A-S-T, just as I was doing the intro for the show.
So Sunday, I'm starting my summer solstice fast.
Are you really? Okay.
Yes. Nice.
Nice. Well, that correlates then. That was for you, NESE. It's reminding you, don't forget your fast. All right. Hey, Brenda, you're familiar with Santa Muerte? What, the saint of the dead? Santa Muerte? I know I've heard that before, but I'm not really familiar with it. No. I think the Hispanic culture definitely embraces and it definitely embraces the paranormal, supernatural worlds much more than our white people race. I don't know what else to say because, of course, NESE in your culture, spirituality is very acknowledged and revered. In Hispanic culture, it's the same. But us white people, I think we're in it because we're enthusiasts or hobbyists or intrigued and looking for answers. But there's not really a cultural precedence for us. But would you say that's right, NESE?
Actually, that's a false misnomer. The indigenous people of North America just kind of wandered around like billiard balls, just wondering where to, Yes, very spiritual. There wasn't a moment that you weren't in a state of spirituality, which was interesting with and nothing against other organized religions, but they have their dwellings of worship. Right. And the Anishinaabe claim that wherever you are, you're in that state of worship or the house of worship.
Yeah, and I would say that certainly in Christendom, I think Jesus very much spoke of that too, because he said, you should be in prayer without ceasing. And I think that's like saying being in a spiritual mindset at all times. Yeah. Very true. But yeah, very cool. All right. I think it's time for the cryptids, NESE, because it's already 8:35. My God. Where's the time gone, NESE?
Where there's this thing about progression, forward momentum, so like 1 second happens and then another, and then a minute, and then an hour, day, and a week. And you get you get it? The pattern?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Oh, where it goes?
Where does it go? How did we get here?
No clue.
How did we get here? That's what I'm always wondering.
Our mommies and daddies.
Where did my mouse go? There it is. Because it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the next segment of our show. And let's get to that now. Time for the Cryptid Corner, everybody. And by God, we're going to bring you the Cryptid Corner. All right, here we go. This is our discussion about all things creatures and cryptids. The cryptozoological creatures are animals that aren't necessarily recognized by science or established sciences and biologies. But people have encounters with these things. So something's out there. People are seeing and experiencing something. And that's what we're going to explore. So, all right, let's get to this. I was just glancing at the chat. Sorry in the chat if you guys have been talking to me. I've just been a little busy reading tonight, so I haven't been focused as much, but I'm looking now. Okay, looks like we're good. Let's get to this. We're going to start out with Sasquatch Chronicles, NESE. We're going to start out there, Mr. Wes Germer's site, and see just what's going on. I got a couple stories from Sasquatch Chronicles, and we're going to get to those now. This is the first one is coming from June 11th. Special thanks to Wes. Appreciate you letting us use your blog for part of the show. A listener writes, it says, I'm paralyzed with fear, June 11th. A listener writes, back in 2018, I was car camping on Cottonwood Pass when it just reopened for the season. So Cottonwood Pass in Colorado connects from Buena Vista to Gunnison or Crested Butte, Colorado. When this encounter happened, it was the second day of the pass being open for the summer. I have a girlfriend that lives in Crested Butte, so I decided to car camp and drive halfway up the Cottonwood Pass, camp for the night, and then drive the rest of the way tomorrow. So I pulled over the top of the pass on a pullout and called it camp for the night. I was in a Subaru hatchback, which I made a bed in the back, and was just going to sleep there for the night. But around 2 a.m, I had to pee really bad. However, I forgot that I locked the doors and set the alarm on. So when I went to get out of the car to go to the bathroom, I set off the alarm. So the car was honking, lights flashing for about 5 minutes before I could fumble around and find the damn keys. Well, I finally found the keys and de-alarmed the car, I think, turned it off. So keep this in mind. The car was honking and lights flashing and making a whole bucket load of noise for about 5 minutes. I get outside, I go to the bathroom, I come back to the car, I get inside and lay down, and I'm laying in the back of the Subaru, and the dome light is still on. So to make a reference, my feet are facing north. So my feet are facing the tailgate, and the head is facing the driver's seat as I'm laying there. I've noticed the dome light is still on, so I'm laying in the back of the Subaru, and the dome light is still on, and I'm getting annoyed. I've said it 3 times now. Apparently still annoyed. As I'm laying there staring at the dome light, I realize that my feet are rising above my head. So as you know, if you have a light inside your house, you can't see. If you have a light inside your house, you can't see what's going on outside. So I'm laying there in the back of the Subaru with the lights on as my feet are rising above my head about 3 feet off the ground. And all of a sudden, whatever is lifting the tailgate of my Subaru lets go, and my Subaru drops to the ground again while I'm sitting in it. So I'm sitting there terrified in fear, paralyzed. I can't move. Something lifted up the back of the car about 3 feet off the ground and then dropped it. And at this point, I'm laying in the back of the Subaru with the dome light still on, by the way. Still can't see what's happening outside. And I'm paralyzed in fear that something just lifted up my tailgate while I was sitting in it, lifted it about 3 or 4 feet, and then dropped it. I played this scenario over and over, trying to make a logical explanation for what that was. Yes, I was on the side of the road. However, I was on Cottonwood Pass in Colorado on the second day it opened for the season. I would have seen any vehicles coming up or going in both directions. It had to have been about 2 or 3 in the morning. I accidentally set off my car alarm, honking and flashing lights for 5 minutes. It's very repetitive, this story. Well, I'm definitely pissed something off. The 2 people that I told said maybe it was a deer that had just brushed your car, or maybe it was a moose that just bumped into you. If there is a car going off with honking horns and lights flashing and making all sorts of annoying sounds, you're going to scare off any wild animal in the next mile from you. Well, I scared off any wild animal from my alarm going off. I attracted something. I pissed off something that came to me and picked up the back of my vehicle 2 or 3 feet and dropped it. I don't know about honking horns and flashing lights that attract wild animals. I've never heard of that. So once the vehicle stopped moving after it stopped bouncing after being dropped from 3 feet, I'm paralyzed with fear. I wasn't able to move for what seemed like 5 minutes. Unfortunately, I couldn't just move to the front seat and take off. I had to get out of the vehicle to get to the front seat because I had so much gear and stuff blocking my way to the driver's seat. So mind you, the dome light is still on at this point, so I can still not see what is outside. Yeah, apparently the dome light was still on, they say. They said it like 30 times throughout the course of this story. Did you catch that?
Is there any junk in that trunk? Must have been pretty light.
It's a Subaru. I think the whole thing was junk in the trunk. No, I mean, I'm not like putting down Subarus. That came out wrong. But it sounded like they had a lot of stuff in their car, so there was plenty of junk in their trunk. It was one of those, I think it sounds like one of those longer Subarus where they're almost like a station wagon, but kind of not. I don't know. The Subaru version of a station wagon, maybe. But interesting.
Yeah, I think I would have just start the car and leave. Not honk horns or lights or anything. Just be like, forward.
Yeah, it was the alarm they set off by going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Like, oops, got to wake up and go to the bathroom, and they opened the door. And the car alarm went off because it was locked and set. So, yeah.
Some Sasquatch was sleeping on the side of the road.
Yeah, it's like, turn that crap down.
Yeah.
It's like the pissed off parent coming into the teenager's room. Turn it down.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But there it is. That's the first story from the Cryptid Corner. But don't you worry, folks. We got some more. Got another one from Sasquatch Chronicles from June 5th. Very short one. I saw something that should not exist. A listener writes, trying to get something off my chest that happened in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in 1977. It's a kind of a long story. I saw the creature up close when I was 11 years old. Wes says, spoke to the witness and he's agreed to come on the show. So this will be a future show, ladies and gentlemen. He said I was playing in the woods, not paying attention to my surroundings, and I came across this thing, and this thing stood up and looked at me. The face reminded me of an old Native American, but was still not human. I think it was digging for something. I was uncomfortably close. The creature looked at me in disgust and turned away and walked away. At the same time, I was running the opposite direction. Interesting. We did cover a little longer version of this story, but I just wonder, in our case, NESE, like we oftentimes attribute human emotions to human expressions that we witness, even though they're not being expressed by a human being. So basically, and my example that I used on the last show when we covered the longer version of the story was that, like, if you see a person smiling, they look happy and stuff. But if you see a chimp smiling, like a chimpanzee, you should be very worried because that animal is extraordinarily agitated and is about to rip your face off. Like a smiling chimpanzee is not a happy thing, but a smiling person is. So is the scowl that this person read as disgust really disgust, or was it more of maybe a curious expression like, oh, well, that's weird, there's a person here? You know what I mean? That we anthropomorphize everything.
And I'm going to assume that we stink to them.
Maybe. Yeah, I bet that's probably true. I never really thought about that, but that's a good point. I'm sure we stick out with our order pretty aggressively.
Well, when I go to the mall and I go past that Bed Bath and Beyond where they got all the
all the fragrances, yeah.
Yes, I'm like, hurry, go, because I smell that like 2 stores down, and
Well, that's a great question though for you, because with the lack of eyesight, have you noticed your sense of smell stronger?
Yeah, and I wasn't going to say anything, but can you put your shoes back on?
All the way from here, huh? Damn.
Oh yeah.
Over the power of the internet comes my foot orders. I'm always barefoot in the summer, and they say I very rarely wear shoes, and almost never socks. I just don't do it. I won't do it till I have to.
You have such a cute pinky toe. Also,
you know that's true. You know that's right, brother. I'm just saying.
Do you put nail polish on them?
Not that you know of, but
I used to let my daughters paint my toenails.
Did you really?
Long ago. Oh yeah.
You're such a good daddy. That's good. That's good.
Hunter orange.
You had them do hunter orange on your toes?
Oh yeah, my favorite color is hunter orange.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a very.
I remember when I was a little kid back in the day when you could walk your friends and family all the way to the concourse before they got on the plane.
Oh right. Yeah.
I remember going to the Minneapolis St. Paul airport, and there were a bunch of Hare Krishnas out front. Remember when they used to give out their little pamphlets and stuff and hang out there?
I remember hearing about that. I never witnessed that ever in my life, but yeah.
And they were wearing, one of them was wearing a hunter orange, like their garment, like robe kind of thing.
Yep.
And from that moment on, I was fascinated, not only with like Buddhist monks and that stuff, but that orange. Always been my favorite color.
Maybe you're a child of fire. That's a resonant color for you.
Or maybe I was just afraid of getting shot in the woods.
Well, there is that too. It definitely is important to wear hunter orange when you're traipsing through the forest at any time, probably, but definitely during hunting season.
Which I didn't do, so I guess I wasn't that afraid.
All right, well, we're going to take a jump over to phantomsandmonsters.com. This is Lon Strickler's site, amazing site as well. And head over there and check it out, folks, because there's literally thousands of encounter stories over there. You can learn about Lon's published works as well at the base of every article at the bottom. You can see links to those. You can pick up his work. Is an incredible pillar of the community for decades and a wonderful guy as well. So we're going to head over there and check out the first story from Phantoms and Monsters. Massive dragon-like cryptid encountered in Magog, Quebec marsh. Well, there you go. Isn't Magog an old giant name? Gog and Magog, isn't that right?
Those were the skull and bone names of George Sr. and Jr., Gog and Magog.
Yeah, well, I think that's based on possibly something from the Book of Enoch.
Yes, it is of the
giants,
pantheon.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay. Interesting name for a place in Quebec. But let's check it out. Let's see what's this dragon-like cryptid. It opened its wings at one point, and I say the wingspan was at least 8 meters. Now, I don't know meters real well, but it's 3-point-some feet, right? So 8 times 3 would be almost like, well, I guess it'd be almost 30 feet then, right? Or 20, 28, something like that. But that's a lot of meters for anything to be in our world. Let's check out the story. And it says, I didn't notice feathers. It stood about 3 to 4 meters high as well. And it was snarling and thrashing its head as it ran towards the marsh. Good God. Could you imagine seeing that in person? Oh, I don't know. That'd be terrifying. I mean, it's one thing to see like a Bigfoot or something, but if you saw a dragon-like cryptid thrashing and snarling and running around a forest, I'd be all hell no, let's get the hell out of here. Like way more than I would for a Bigfoot. Let's see what it says, though. I received the following account, Lon says. Hello, thanks for reading my email. I live in a recently built house in Magog, Quebec, about 1 kilometer west of Lake Magog. And near my house was a forest and a large marshy area, approximately 200 meters beyond my property. I'd lived there for 2 years. Many of my neighbors have been here for the same amount of time. Well, since June of this year, we've been hearing loud snarling noises coming from the marsh, mostly late at night. At first, I thought maybe it's a coyote or maybe a canine of some kind. But recently, we've noticed activity that rules this out. My neighbor 3 houses down had recently obtained a llama and kept it in a large railed pen behind their house. Well, this past weekend, the llama disappeared. Oh. The only evidence found were drag marks in the area around the pen, leading to the marsh. There were no tracks or blood anywhere. In fact, the police took a report and searched, and they found nothing. Well, on Sunday night, I was in my greenhouse cleaning up when I heard a loud thud come from behind my utility shed. I started to walk out of my greenhouse when I heard that distinctive snarling, and it was very close. I immediately went back into the greenhouse, cut out the lights, and quietly watched. I called my wife on the cell phone and told her what was going on and told her to make sure all of the doors were locked. I sat on a bench and waited. I'd been there for about 10 minutes or so when I heard the snarling again. There's a security light on a timer mounted outside of the back porch. It was on, shining towards this greenhouse. And there's an additional security light by the driveway that comes on if triggered by something moving nearby. I heard some movement near the utility shed again, then another thud and a brief shrieking sound. Suddenly, the security light above the driveway came on, and it was a huge winged creature with a long, thin tail. It was hideous. Looked like it had bat skin and short horns on a weird snake-like head. It opened its wings at one point, and I say the wingspan was at least 8 meters. I didn't notice feathers, and it stood about 3 to 4 meters high as well. It was snarling and thrashing its head as it ran towards the marsh. I really know of no animal to reference it to. One of my neighbors came running out, but he didn't see it, and I described what I had witnessed. He looked shocked at what I was saying. I don't know if he believed me or not. We decided to call the police and report an unknown animal on the property. I didn't want to describe what I saw for sure. The next day, I contacted a zoologist in Montreal and was referred to a cryptozoologist in Sherbrooke, and neither of them offered much help, and neither volunteered to come and examine the area. The police found nothing, though my yard had 4 dig marks in it, but looked like someone had took a shovel and overturned the soil. I haven't heard any sounds since that incident. If you'd like to contact me, feel free to do so. And Lon said, I had to wait about 5:30 p.m. today to call the witness. I spoke to his wife earlier that day, and she said that she didn't see the creature, but she definitely heard it. The witness told me that the police weren't interested and directed him to contact wildlife and animal control. And the witness and his wife moved to Magog from Western Ontario 2 years ago. He's not familiar with the outdoors. He didn't provide much more information, but refused to give me the contact details of his neighbors, and he agreed to let me post the report. I honestly don't know what to think about this sighting. The tone of his voice while describing the incident over the phone didn't instill overwhelming confidence in his story. Also, he didn't take any photos of the marks on the lawn, so I'm presenting to you the story as received. You can make of it your own determinations. That was from Lon. Very cool follow-up. Yeah, I don't know. So there again, Lon wasn't overwhelmingly convinced in the story that this guy told. But what is your take, NESE? Any precedents for something like that you've ever heard of outside of mythical dragons?
Well, there is a Anishinaabe story about a thunderbird that lived up on a mountainside, and it was battling a serpent, a snake-like serpent that would come up the side of the mountain and take its young. And when Abushu, or Nanabushu, one of the two brothers, was asked to help the thunderbird, and he smited or smoted the dragon, lizard, serpent thing, and made friends with the thunderbird. And so he
nice.
I can't remember the end of the story, if they like lived happily forever after or thunder and lightning and all that stuff was at his call.
Right.
But I would make the assumption the dragon was just trying to get some Worcestershire sauce for that llama that disappeared.
Hey, anybody got some ketchup?
Right.
You tasted llama? Maybe that's true.
The llama was probably well done if it was a fire-breathing.
Yeah, they didn't say fire though. They didn't ever mention fire, but it's interesting. I keep my mind open to any possibilities, but certainly, if I do take a lot of gravity with Lon's note at the end. It's like he wasn't overly convinced that the guy was totally forthcoming about the story. So I don't know. I mean, who knows what happened there? And to not take any pictures, isn't that a little bizarre? Like, hey, this is what we saw in my yard.
Right.
Wouldn't you?
You've heard of Devil's Lake in North Dakota, have you?
I know there's, actually I grew up next to a Devil's Pond, so yeah.
Up there by Grand Forks.
Okay.
Devil's Lake. Story I was told about the Lakota, Dakota, Nakota people.
Okay.
Was told this story up there at ceremony that an elder, one of his duties, sorry, child, one of his things that he did was collect like food, and then he would put it in a wheelbarrow, bring it down to the edge of Devil's Lake, and pour it out at the edge. And he would do this like once a week. I can't remember a specific date or whatever. And he had to go out of town for a couple weeks and charged his nephew to do this for him.
Oh.
And was told to go dump the wheelbarrow and then leave right away. Just go do it, dump it, leave. Don't pay attention, just leave. And then apparently the young inquisitive person, after dumping the stuff on the edge of the lake, heard a large noise and ran back. But by the time he got back there, it looked like something came up out of the water and gathered, like kind of scooped the area where it was all dumped. And it had like a large depression, which they claimed looked like a tail that went back into the water through the disturbance of the shoreline.
Wow. Okay. Well, that explains
so
that.
Nothing surprises me anymore. And I do believe, if Bigfoot, Sasquatch, these other cryptids can still be hidden in plain sight, then why not there at least be a few left?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, we get a whole plethora, a whole variety, a whole catalog of different creature reports, and some of them are more one-offs, and some of them are real staples, like Dogman, Bigfoot, the pale crawlers, etc. But some of them are more standalone-ish. But it doesn't. The thing that I like to fall back on is an old saying that I love. It's like, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So. Yeah, it doesn't mean it's not out there. It's just we seem to know a lot less about those kind of things. But I don't doubt the world is full of any number of possibilities. So, but that's going to about wrap it up for us tonight. NESE, how can people stay in touch with you?
I did post in the chat there my Twitter X handle. Hi, hilarious. NESE. I'm a legend in my own mind. HIGH.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay.
Cannabis. But yeah, so if you want to find me be ridiculous, I'm in Twitter Spaces. Been trying to get Brent to come on Twitter Spaces and share.
We are broadcasting live on Twitter right now.
Yes, and I did post that today on my timeline.
Oh, cool.
About being here and having these lovely, precious moments to bask in your illumination. Thank you, my brother.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, brother. Thanks so much for being here. And thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to all of you who come in and like the shows and, recommend them, obviously. Feel free to share them out there on other groups of people that are into the paranormal weird stuff. We love to meet new people all the time. And so everybody's welcome here in the portal. There's room for all. And
don't forget to check out the Discord.
Yeah, check out the Discord. Watch for that. Well, tomorrow night we're going to be covering the Discord question of the week.
Question of the week.
That's tomorrow night. So definitely get involved in the Discord already. If you're not already, rather. And there's plenty of time to answer the question of the week from our wonderful friend, Mr. Chucky Danger, who champions the question every week and does a hell of a job. So check it out over there. If you haven't been over there on Discord for a while, get over there and answer that question. We'll cover the answers tomorrow night. NESE, thank you, brother. It's been a pleasure. Happy Friday the 13th, man.
Yes, happy full moon. Happy summer solstice. Pegish minobima diziwe rion. Share the giggles. Toodles.
All right, brother. Well, that's going to do it for us. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Just all I can say is good night. We love you all. Be good, be kind. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, you got stories of your own, head over to paranormalportal.net and hit the interview me button. It launches my calendar app and you can become a guest on the podcast as well. This is not the podcast. This is the live stream. So those are two very different shows. So if you want to share your stories with people that are listening to the podcast, head over to paranormalportal.net. Hit the interview me button. It launches my calendar app and you can pick from dates and times that work for you. And we'll connect and record your story. So that's all we got time for tonight. Thank you, Phil Funk. Good. Thank you to everybody. Good night, Rachel. Thank you for the links and for keeping it awesome. You guys are amazing. Thank you to our wonderful mods, and thank you to all of you who watch these shows. Good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow night right back here. Now, head over and check out Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio. And until tomorrow night, take care of yourselves. Good night, everybody.